Gildan Media, a division of Recorded Books, presents the MECE Muse, 100-plus selected practices, unwritten rules, and habits of great consultants, by Christie Lindor, narrated by Janina Edwards. Preface. When I decided to write this book, a teachable moment. I remember the exact moment I said I was going to write this book. I was underneath a conference room table, picking up scattered papers thrown at my team lead from an irate client the first week of my first consulting engagement. It was Thursday morning, September 13th, 2001, just days after events that changed the course of the United States history and also my career. My first day on the project, I walked in on the client yelling at my team lead, Jeremy, not once, but twice in the same hour. The second time she started yelling at Jeremy, she flung copies of a status report right in his face. I immediately knelt on the floor to help Jeremy pick the papers up. In that moment, I thought, I have got to write a book about consulting so people know what they are getting themselves into. Had I been better prepared prior to arriving at the client site, I would have connected with Jeremy beforehand to understand the current state of the project. While that incident may have still happened on the first day, it might not have been as shocking or impacted me as much as it did. The client's reactions were based on high tensions resulting from having been recently acquired. Let me take a step back and retrospectively share the top 5 insights about the consulting profession I learned in the first year of my consulting career. While the ride would have been less bumpy and certain mistakes were avoidable had I known this information earlier, I would not have had enough experience to write this book, nor the motivational drive to help others succeed in consulting years later. Consultants must live in a constant state of adaptive execution in order to survive and thrive in the profession. I learned this lesson before I even graduated college. Within 6 months of being offered an IT strategy analyst role at a large firm, I went from being elated to my entire consulting future being in jeopardy due to sudden market shifts. It was 2000 to 2001, the height of the dot-com bust era. The company gave me a choice: either defer my offer or join the firm as an IT implementation analyst, where there was plenty of work. I decided to join the implementation side of the consulting practice, which changed my career trajectory. It took close to a decade to course correct toward my desired consulting area. See Chapter 6 to understand how to position yourself in consulting. Downtime in between projects is just as critical as project time. What you do during that time can either be a setup for success or failure of your next engagement, and over time, your career. I spent the first 6 months of my career on the unstaffed learning how to do Java code programming, testing, and a slew of other core technical skills. The first project I finally landed was a post-acquisition IT systems integration of a regional bank. Since my training was not targeted for a particular project, none of the training prepared me for my first consulting project role. 6 months of wasted time. See Chapter 7 to learn how to maximize downtime in between consulting engagements. Consultants have to understand the dynamics of organizational politics of their environments to determine how to best add value. There were a lot of politics played after that first incident with Jeremy and the client. Word got back to engagement leadership about our client's rage. By the time I returned to the client site the following week, Jeremy had been rolled off the project to my surprise. Another team leader arrived in full damage control mode. We ended up successfully delivering on the work, and there were no other hiccups with the client. See Chapter 11 on managing relationships and navigating organizational politics. In the midst of chaos, understand how to best proceed to take accountability for your career. Consultants must have the fortitude to take a step back and reflect on lessons learned with mentors or leadership. Jeremy taught me the power of being a professional under immense pressure in the short time we worked together. When the client screamed and wagged her fingers in his face and then threw papers at him, Not once did he raise his voice, show emotion, or say anything smug, even after she left the room. Reflecting back on that experience, I didn't know what I didn't know to set my career in the right direction. In consulting, ignorance is not bliss. It's quite expensive. I showed up to work without knowing any details about the client's environment, their industry, or key challenges. I just showed up and let life happen to me. See Chapter 17 to learn how to own your career experience. Consultants must learn to embrace the journey. Granted, I was a newly minted college graduate, and it was my first job out of college. Just like coal under pressure creates diamonds, irritated oysters create pearls, and the Earth's crust creates gems and crystals. My experience as a consultant has been a cumulative journey. Over time, experiencing constant pressure under certain conditions allowed me to professionally grow into a competent, successful consultant. See Section 3, Reflections of a Consulting Career. In this book, the MECE Muse, 100-plus selected practices, unwritten rules, and habits of great consultants, I discuss defining career successes and failures. Not as humble brags or regrets, but as illustrations of the knowledge, experiences, and wisdom gained over my 15-plus years of consulting experience to give you an informed perspective. I focus on helping you maximize your opportunities as a consultant before you begin your career or walk onto your next client site toward a journey of consulting greatness. Introduction. Setting the context on consulting basics. In consulting, context is everything. One of the initial steps toward being a great consultant is to first understand the definition of the role, history of the profession, and to have an impartial mental map of what excellence looks like in consulting. Having an understanding of how the expertise you possess fits the broader consulting ecosystem and your chosen industry is important grounding, particularly as you become a seasoned consultant. This context helps you better prioritize how to compete in the marketplace, acquire clients, build relationships, and create impact earlier on in your career. Since there are a lot of misconceptions out there, I will begin this conversation with a high-level primer on the profession. Having been in consulting my entire professional life, this book is about creating the building blocks of the profession in the most MECE way possible. But what does MECE mean? MECE, mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. The MECE rule is consulting lingo and for many management consultants, a way of being. MECE describes a technique on how business problems are visualized and understood in order to solve the root cause. When applying the MECE rule, information is grouped logically into distinct categories without any overlap, mutually exclusive. All categories added together cover all possible options, collectively exhaustive, then explored through the process of elimination based on data collected and insights gathered. I was inspired to write the book as an adaptation of the MECE rule to pass along selected practices of great consulting in 3 distinct categories: the mindset of great consultants, how great consultants are conditioned for success, and ways to create a sustainable consulting career. I say inspired because this book is not truly MECE. However, it is about the humanity of consulting, that is, the emotional intelligence side of the profession that sometimes gets lost in translation. It is about the stuff that is hard to quantify and compartmentalize into neatly packaged black and white categories without overlapping concepts. Great consultants are able to operate well in the complex and ambiguous gray of life. I share resources in the appendix to provide exhaustive details of many concepts outlined in the book that deep dive into strategies and tactics on topics covered in this book. Definition of a consultant. Chris Peterson, a strategy consulting partner, sums up the definition nicely. I usually use the analogy of a business doctor when people ask me what I do. It's kind of daunting to describe our work. Strategy consultant. What does that mean? I help diagnose problems just like a doctor would. I start out with a full examination and help provide a path forward to remedy the problem. Things like preventive maintenance to have that patient not land in the hospital again. The term consultant is also synonymous with advisor, confidant, or coach. Consultants provide advice, knowledge, support, and experience that a client deems valuable. Clients tap into consultants based on the perceived intellectual value of an individual's or firm's expertise to speed up the learning process in a competitive marketplace. In this book, I focus on selected practices, unwritten rules, and habits of business consultants that solve problems for organizations. The goal of a business consultant is to do 3 key things. 1. Become a trusted advisor who is to be called upon at any time to help leaders shape strategic decisions to address complex business problems within their organizations. 2. Create value-added impact to a client's career, team, department, division, or company through influencing, advising, designing, implementing, or supporting business recommendations in a way that empowers clients to stand on their own. 3. Constantly create relationships, make decisions, build experiences, sustain networks, develop skills, leverage tools, reinforce habits, and share knowledge to do steps 1 and 2 phenomenally well. Ecosystem of the consulting profession. There is a wide variety of consultants across industries that fall into 2 big categories: internal consultants and external or market-facing consultants. Internal consultants partner with various business units, leaders, and key stakeholders within an organization. External consultants are hired to provide expertise to clients on a temporary basis to help solve complex business problems. Internal and external consultants have a wide variety of career paths to consider, which are discussed in Section 3 of this book. Consulting is a cyclical business that mirrors trends in the marketplace. Staying one step ahead of their client's market is a critical component of a consultant's role. Internal or external business consultants specialize in a variety of industries, domains, and sectors, including strategy consultants, advisory consultants, functional consultants, marketing, IT, finance, industry consultants, consumer, energy, healthcare, government, domain consultants, supply chain, customer, and transformation. There are 2 ways you could gain experience as a business consultant: as a generalist or a specialist. Generalists are focused on different types of business problems with breadth, typically under a broad knowledge area. Specialists are focused on one type of business problem with depth. The type of consulting one does dictates the types of clients one will most likely gain exposure to. For example, strategy consultants tend to have the company's board of directors, chief executive officer, CEO, and other C-suite executives and venture capitalists as clients. The clients of advisory, functional, and industry consultants range from C-suite executives other than CEOs to the executive layers such as Executive Vice President, EVP, Senior Vice President, SVP, and Vice President, VP. For example, clients of IT consultants are usually a Chief Technology Officer. For HR consultants, it is a Chief People Officer or VP of Human Resources, HR. For domain and operations consultants, VP to directors to middle management, such as product owners and managers, are also potential clients. Consultants have the option to work as an independent contractor, freelancer, consulting firm owner, or as an employee of a consulting firm. Consulting organizations are typically categorized by size and prestige. Size-wise, consulting firms are grouped as boutique, mid-size, or large global organizations. Gartner defines a boutique firm as having fewer than 100 employees and earning less than $50 million in annual revenue. Mid-size firms employ 100 to 1,000 employees, earning $50 million to $1 billion in annual revenue. Large global firms have more than 1,000 employees with $1 billion plus in annual revenue. Consulting and prestige as a differentiator. Prestige provides a general way to differentiate amongst the competitive landscape of consulting firms. Prestige is collectively assessed by factors such as the level of expertise provided, firm culture, and selectivity in recruitment practices. The degree of innovative disruption in thought leadership has become an important vantage point for all firms in today's business environment. Prestige is a polarizing topic, constantly debated in the consulting community. For the purposes of this book, I codify the profession based on 4 types of organizations and will use these definitions when referencing certain types of consulting firms. Top strategy firms are historically known for their expertise in strategy and ability to solve general management problems. One can sensibly argue that there are no longer any pure strategy firms anymore, given the heightened convergence and consolidation activities that have taken place in the market. Examples of top strategy firms include McKinsey & Company and Boston Consulting Group. Big 4+ firms are a network of professional services firms that offer consulting, audit, and tax offerings. What started as the Big 8 firms through most of the 20th century are now dubbed Big 4 after years of market impacts, mergers, and consolidation activity. For simplicity purposes, I've collectively called this group of firms Big 4+, since there are time periods discussed in the book when they were called Big 6 or Big 5. Examples of Big 4+ firms include Deloitte & Touche LLP and PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC. Hybrid firms are both mid-size and global organizations that focus on a broad category of consulting advisory and implementation services in core business functions such as finance, HR, and technology. Examples of hybrid firms include Navigant Consulting and IBM Global Services. Boutique firms are smaller consulting firms with either a broad or narrow focus of professional services. Examples of boutique firms include Aquis Consulting and Putnam Associates. Within consulting firms, divisions or subdivisions are called practices, which are grouped by a combination of industry, function, solutions, or domains. Disruptive convergence, state of the consulting industry. According to consultancy.uk, the global management consulting market is worth an estimated $250 billion. While the top 10 firms currently account for 56% of the global management consulting market share, accelerated convergence is the key theme for the consulting industry as we continue to progress into the 21st century. 3 key disruptive trends are driving convergence activities. 1. The pending boom of artificial intelligence that will rapidly impact every single industry and sector at scale. 2. The paradigm shift toward micro-entrepreneurship, where individuals will inevitably drive their careers through projects instead of full-time jobs. And 3. The rise of niche boutique firms, positioning themselves to gain a stronghold in the consulting market share. Regardless of the pendulum swings that will continue to take place in the operating models of the consulting organizations of today, I believe great consultants will always be in demand. In Chapter 21, I discuss how to prepare for consulting of the future. Closing the journey to greatness gap. The ever-evolving art of consulting. As with any profession, there is pomp and circumstance that give it a uniqueness and appeal. Watch great servers at a fine dining restaurant as an example of pomp and circumstance. These servers are usually well-groomed and walk upright with their heads held high. They come into work early to prepare and memorize the day's specials. The language used to describe the dishes leaves you salivating in anticipation of the pending experience. Great servers exude confidence, credibility, and ultimately provide a memorable dining experience. Great servers are better compensated and highly sought after. While consulting is a different profession from hospitality, the guiding principles of exceptional client service are the same. Demonstrated mastery of basic habits and decision-making skills is what makes a great consultant. From this moment on, you have to decide if you are going to be a point of sale POS consultant, a role player, or a great consultant. And you have to wake up and make this decision every single day of your consulting career. If you compare resumes, there is not much difference between the three types of consultants until you experience them in action, like a great server at a fine restaurant. Using a bell curve, let's discuss illustrative examples of what a POS, role player, or great consultant looks like in action on a journey to greatness continuum. POS consultants. POS consultants comprise the bottom 20% of consultants. They show up to work unprepared, without a plan, or having done any previous research or due diligence. POS consultants complete work as outlined in the contracts, without regard to the client's long-term strategy or needs. As long as the work is good enough to satisfy the contract, it's good enough for them. Anything over and above meeting contractual obligations is not their job. POS consultants don't put a lot of time and energy into creating a personal brand. POS consultants are often reactionary, letting life happen without taking any accountability for the outcome. It's never their fault why something happened, nor is it their problem to fix it. POS consultants become immediately threatened by high-performing consultants who, in their minds, appear to be trying too hard. POS consultants will constantly focus on ways to create division on a team, to make up for their insecurities. They sit back and criticize the ideas or work of others, but do not offer any alternative value in return. They do not want others to think they are not working, but they are not willing to try harder either. POS consultants are energy vampires. Being around them is draining and uninspiring. They present themselves as average and do average work. Role players. Role player consultants comprise 60% of consultants. Most role players focus on playing their position to maintain status quo, to obtain project extensions rather than focusing on long-term impact. Role players remain indifferent on many topics in order not to ruffle any feathers. Some role players struggle with imposter syndrome. The fear of embarrassment or being wrong keeps them paralyzed with inaction to innovate. This fear of not being good enough forces role players to follow the beaten, tried-and-true path of their environment. Role players secretly wish to be great, but 1. Do not want to put in the work to go from good to great performance. 2. Have not found the right methods, processes, or tools. 3. Lack the proper support system of peer groups, mentors, and sponsors. 4. Do not know what the mechanics of consulting greatness actually looks like in action. And 5. Are in a cultural environment infused with emotional contagion of mediocrity. Deep down, role players know there are better ways to do things, but the mentality is, if no one asks for it or is expecting it, then why kill myself? What I'm doing is good enough to get by. Role players are smart, and their work is good, but not great or memorable. Great consultants. Great consultants comprise the top 20%. You know a great consultant when you see one. You actually never forget them. Similar to a great server at a fine dining restaurant, great consultants carry themselves with confidence, charisma, and authentic purpose. Great consultants take life by the reins, and nothing seems to faze them, no matter how large of an issue. It's not that great consultants don't sometimes suffer from imposter syndrome from time to time, but they don't allow those fears and insecurities to drive their career. Great consultants make everyone around them step up their game. Clients thank role players. Clients are wowed by great consultants. Their actions appear effortless given the amount of preparation they undertake. Great consultants empathetically keep their clients' needs at the forefront throughout a project. Great consultants provide insights from the moment they walk on site. Great consultants are natural leaders who take care of their people. They are confident enough to admit fault and not having the answer. Great consultants give credit to their teams and have authentic interactions. They seek to understand others instead of focusing on being understood. Great consultants usually say what others think, but don't have the courage to say out loud. They understand how to harness the power of community and know that in order to succeed, they cannot operate on an island alone. They create an environment of supportive mentors, advisors, sponsors, and a tribe of like-minded colleagues. Great consultants purposefully manage their brand. They show up looking put together and ready to work. There's a certain energy and je ne sais quoi about them. They have the ability to walk into a room and shift the energy or pace of the conversation just with their presence. Great consultants take the clients and teams through an engagement experience. Great consultants are made by the decisions they make and daily habits they create. POS consultants wake up every day and let life happen to them. POS consultants work at the firms that allow them in. They secure projects that need their skills. POS versus role player versus great consultants. POS shows up unprepared to work. Role players shows up asking a lot of questions that could have been answered through research. Great consultants shows up asking questions based on well-prepared research and provides insights in every client interaction. POS delivers meh work per contract. Role players delivers quality work. Great consultants delivers an experience. POS connects only with the people needed to do the work in front of them. Role players connects with people they think are worthy of knowing. Great consultants connects and treats all people with the same level of respect and honor, irregardless of rank, status, and title. POS, transactional interactions. Role players manage relationships within proximity and access. Great consultants constantly seek and cultivate a tribe of colleagues, advisors, mentors, and sponsors near and far. POS, doubt or constantly complain about changes. Role players somewhat adapt to changing trends with uncertainty. Great consultants adapt easily to ambiguity as innovators driving change. POS, clients' and colleagues' concerns and needs are not their problems. Role players offers surface support to clients and colleagues until it becomes too much of a personal inconvenience. Great consultants are personally and professionally empathic to their clients and colleagues. POS, not self-aware. Role players, reactive in self-awareness, somewhat apologetic and constantly blindsided. Great consultants, acutely self-aware of personal perceptions, biases, and worldviews, empathetic to different schools of thought. POS, easily replaced, no unique selling proposition. Role players, not memorable. Great consultants, unforgettable. Great consultants wake up every day with a purpose to own and shape their own destiny. They purposefully create an environment for excellence not only for themselves, but for their teams, peers, and clients. Great consultants fail too, but the difference is they do not give up. While great consultants might not know the exact destination, they are focused on progress, and they forge into the unknown with conviction. One partner asked me to describe how I differentiate between POS, role player, and great consultants. He completely agreed and took the definition one step further. Don't make any mistake about it. This distinction is seen across the partnership levels. POS consultants become POS partners. There are a handful of partners that inherited a book of business from a retiring partner, but do not proactively sell in the market. Then, all of a sudden, when that annuity revenue dries up due to a change of their client's market positioning, all of the partners feel the hit. From this point on, you get to decide every day what type of consultant you want to be. Decide to be great. If you are a new consultant, consider again the descriptions and decide what kind of consultant you want to be. If you are an aspiring consultant, decide what type of consultant you will strive to become. I wrote this book for go-getters who want to be great. If that is you, keep listening. More about consulting partner and leader interviews. I believe that being successful starts with emulating and role modeling successful people.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?